Okay, so there's this new defense pact between Saudi Arabia and Pakistan, and it's making huge waves around the world. All the headlines are screaming about an Islamic NATO, maybe even the arrival of a Saudi nuke. But is the real story about a secret bomb, or is it something bigger? Like the public birth of a totally new, more independent Middle East. Let's get into it.
All right, we have to start here with the one quote that has been fueling all of this speculation for years. This single alleged statement, right? It gets right to the heart of the biggest fear and the wildest rumor, that Saudi Arabia has just been waiting for the right moment to, buy a nuclear weapon right off the shelf.
And that brings us to the big question, the one on everybody's mind with this new pact. Did they just do it? Did the kingdom just quietly get its hands on the ultimate weapon and in the process change the entire balance of power in the Middle East overnight? So, to get to the bottom of this, first we've got to unpack all the hype. We need to look at what this agreement actually says, and maybe more importantly, why it has everyone whispering about nuclear weapons. Okay, so this was signed on September 17th, 2025, and at its core is this one sentence. Any aggression against either country shall be considered an aggression against both. Now that language is super strong. It sounds a lot like NATO's famous Article 5, right? An attack on one is an attack on all. It's a massive statement.
And this is the number that turns what looks like a standard defense pact into a global flashpoint. 170. That's roughly how many nuclear warheads Pakistan has. It's the only nuclear arsenal in the entire Muslim world. So this isn't just an alliance. It's an alliance with a nuclear power. And that's exactly why everyone is paying such close attention.
Officials on both sides have been really careful with their words. When a Saudi official was asked if this pact was basically a nuclear umbrella, this was the response. All military means. That could mean anything, or it could mean everything. And that ambiguity, that's what is really fanning the flames.
Okay, so that's the big, flashy story. But now, let's pump the brakes for a second and look at the actual facts. What do we really know about this deal once you strip away all the dramatic headlines? It's time for a reality check.
So let's break this down. What's the hype and what's the reality? Well, instead of some revolutionary new alliance, this pact is really just making a 60-year-old partnership official. Pakistani troops have been stationed in Saudi Arabia for decades. This is way more of an evolution than a revolution.
And this is where history gives us a major reality check. Pakistan has signed pacts just like this before, with the US and other major powers. But look what happened. When war actually broke out with India, those allies didn't automatically jump in to fight. It's a huge reminder that these deals are always political, and they are never a guarantee of automatic military support.
Yeah, and maybe the most important piece of evidence is what the pact doesn't say. The public text has zero mention of nuclear weapons. And there's a really powerful precedent here. Back in 2015, Pakistan's own parliament voted against joining the Saudi-led war in Yemen. That proves that Islamabad makes its own decisions. This is not a blank check.
Okay, so if this is really just formalizing a long-term relationship, then why now? Why the big rush to sign this thing right at this particular moment? Well, the answer is all about the chaos that's been escalating across the entire region.
And boom, this timeline tells you pretty much everything you need to know. First, a shocking Israeli airstrike on Qatari soil, a close U.S. ally, by the way, which made every single Gulf state question its own security. Then, just days later, with Houthi missiles also flying overhead, this pact gets signed. The timing here is absolutely not a coincidence.
It was really a perfect storm of pressure. You've got Israel's widening conflict making all its neighbors nervous. You've got constant missile threats from the Houthis. And at the exact same time, there are these huge, growing doubts about whether the U.S. is a reliable security blanket anymore. That's leading powers like Saudi Arabia to say, you know what, we need to handle this ourselves. All right, so we've got the regional picture. But what does all of this mean for the rest of the world? Because an agreement like this doesn't happen in a vacuum. It's already sending out massive ripples that are shaking up the global balance of power.
Just look at this breakdown. This move really throws a wrench in the works for, well, pretty much everyone. For the US, it's a clear sign of declining influence. For Iran, it looks like their biggest rivals are ganging up on them. It complicates things big time for Israel and India, who both want closer ties with Riyadh. And for China, it's a strategic win, since its key ally Pakistan just got even more important.
Let's be super clear, because this is the big one. For decades, security in the Middle East meant one thing: a phone call to Washington. This pact is the loudest signal we've gotten yet that countries in the region are building their own security plans. That whole era of this relying on the U.S. is changing, and it's changing fast.
So let's tie this all together. Let's forget the hype about a secret bomb for just a second and look at the massive picture this pact is painting for us.
And here it is. This is the real story. The mission here isn't about some secret backroom bomb deal. It's about autonomy. The true significance of this whole thing is that it marks the public birth of a new, multipolar Middle East that is determined to stand on its own 2 feet.
What we're seeing is a region in motion. The old order is definitely fading, but the new one, well, it's still being written. And the real question this pact leaves us with is, in this rapidly changing world, who's going to be the one holding the pen?